I found it a long time ago. And I found it right there in that willpower thing. When you're nothing, and change yourself into something like me, you call it happiness, peace, whatever the fuck you want to call it. People are missing exactly what went on with David Goggins. Why don't you smile? I do. But I figured something out. That's why you'll never hear me say I'm missing something. I found it years ago. You find it in the suck. You find it in the suck, and you find it repeatedly in the suck to the point where you know exactly who you are. Most people are missing something because they don't know who they are. They never examine themselves. They've never done this experiment on themselves. The lab rat, we're all lab rats, but you're also the scientist. You create your own. I don't even want to say potential. I think that's word used out too much too. There's so much in you that God or wherever the hell you believe in, or if you're atheist, in you that you have not unlocked. That you walk around with this gorgeous wife or great husband and all this money. You're like, God, I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, because it's about 75% of you is still fucking in there. Still chained up because you just didn't want to find your willpower. Didn't want to find your soul, your will, your heart, your determination, your guts, your courage. And what that looks like, it looks scary. Like your little scary lab I went in. Scary. To wake up every day and say, I'm stupid, but I want to figure out a way to be smarter. Versus saying, man, I just can't do that. So you limit this box. So your box becomes so small of things you can do. My box wasn't even a box. It was a fucking little pinhole. And then through examining myself, getting some willpower, some courage, it became bigger than this table. But that's what we all do. That's why I wanted to come here today and talk to you about real shit. Not no fucking like hacks. There's no hacks, bro.
Calliope, blazing in my chalice.
So first thing in the morning, before you eat anything, do a little fasted cardio. Get in the pool, work out, some laps, work on your breathing. Your breath has so much to do over, like your mental state. You're calm, especially when you're working out, you're training, you're breathing. You always want to keep that straight. So like being in the pool is a full body workout. You're working your upper body, your core, your lower legs. Especially with me, all these injuries over the years, being in the water really just keeps my joints comfortable. You know what I mean? It takes the pressure off some of my injuries. Using the water resistance really helps out a lot.
Fasting is shown to be able to increase a thing called BDNF, and this is called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And all this does is that in your brain, it increases the synapses in your brain, which is just basically the signal pathways in your brain. And in my personal experience, I've been doing this for a decade. When I intermittent fast, I feel much more clearer. I think a lot quicker, and I feel the most energetic because I'm not eating. One thing that not eating will do automatically is not force blood to your alimentary canal because of digestion. But what I've also noticed is that I am able to intake so much more information naturally. I'm able to think quicker, and I'm also able to memorize a lot better. So for myself, I've experienced a tremendous amount of mental clarity. I would have never been able to become a medical doctor without it, because all of my studying, all of my work as a medical doctor was always done in the morning. And all the information that I was able to retain throughout my career was in the morning. And all of my clients, the CEOs, the doctors, the nurses, bus drivers, military people, have all told me that they experience the same benefit, that because they fast in the morning, they just experience such a higher level of mental clarity. It's also shown to improve your overall cardiovascular health.
For this role, Henry needed to do a lot of sword fighting. So with the sword fighting, the key for the training was to really focus on the shoulders, making sure the shoulders are strong, and then also that muscular endurance is there for the shoulders. This movement here is a variation of side laterals and front raises. So each repetition is actually 3 repetitions. He's starting out in a traditional side lateral for the first rep, then he's coming a little further forward for the next one, and then doing a traditional front raise for the next one. So this allows us to target the medial deltoid and the anterior deltoid in one movement.
As Dave said, this really helps with the sword fighting aspect. Swords are typically very, very heavy, and when you're using them all day long, over and over and over again, every day, it really does help to have that muscular endurance in the shoulders and the strength to be able to move in explosive movements and also control, because when you're film fighting, you're not going through for kill strikes. You're pulling the blow at the last second, but you have to keep that speed up between the striking moment and the stopping moment to make it look.
He's doing a 4-second negative with this, and then a 2-second pause at the bottom, and then coming back up and contracting the glutes. What we do with this technique here is I have him utilize a hip circle above his knees. So basically, with incorporating that, he's activating his glute medius and really keeping the glutes activated and fired the whole time. So the next exercise we're utilizing here is a hyperextension. We're actually doing this on a glute ham machine, which is going to be more challenging than a traditional hyperextension machine. And what we're focusing on here is isolation, really contracting the glutes at the top, holding each repetition for 2 seconds, and really continuing the conversation of making sure the posterior chain is as strong as possible.
When it comes to the posterior chain and the kind of stunts I have to do, especially when it's pirouettes with swords, anything which is based upon one leg movement where a knee can have a bad injury if you don't have that glute medialis engaged or that posterior chain, this stuff is what saves me.
And the focus here is again on isolating the posterior chain, really activating the glutes in the lower back. He's performing the repetitions by pausing at the top for 2 seconds and really squeezing and engaging.
For someone who's 300 pounds, you are going to have an easier time losing weight, because if you have like 100 or 200 pounds of excess body fat, when you start to work out, you are going to lose a large amount of weight initially. But let's say you're someone who has 10 pounds to lose. That's typically where it can become more difficult, and you might not see results as fast on the scale or in the mirror. That's when you have to remind yourself that you need to be patient and do the other things that I'm going to talk about. But just know first, off the bat, the way that weight loss typically works is if you have like I said, 75, 100, 125, 150 pounds of body fat to lose, you are going to notice if you work out consistently and eat right, you will probably lose a lot of weight initially, and then it will become harder and harder to lose that weight as you go down that journey. So I guess my point is, if you're someone who's really overweight and you're worried and you're like, oh man, I have so long to go, just know that that's kind of like a benefit. You're probably going to lose a lot of weight first, which could be good motivation to just continue.
You can see that I have more of a 4-pack than a 6-pack, and while you can't change the genetic structure of your abs, I'm going to explain how to get your abs to pop regardless of the genetic hand you were dealt by using 3 science-based tools. First, how to train your abs optimally using just 2 exercises. Second, how to adjust your diet. I'll help you calculate exactly how much fat you need to lose and how to set up your diet to mathematically guarantee that you get there as long as you follow the plan. And third, the supplements I recommend that are actually worth your money. First, let's talk about training. Now, it's popular these days to say that ab training is a waste of time because, the argument goes, you can train them as much as you want. If you're not lean enough, you won't see the definition anyway. But I disagree. Imagine applying this logic to any other muscle. It'd be like saying, don't train your shoulders because unless you're lean enough, you're not going to see the definition anyway. But no one ever says that. The point is, you do need to train your abs so that when you cut down, there's actually enough muscle there for them to pop through. And if you build up your abdominal muscles through proper hypertrophy training, they will pop more, just like any other muscle. But the problem with most ab training online is that most fitness influencers showcase these fast-paced, quote-unquote, fat-burning, circuit-style workouts, which truly are a waste of time for the most part. That's because these workouts don't actually get the abdominal muscles close enough to failure to stimulate meaningful hypertrophy. They are essentially just another form of cardio. Sure, you'll burn a few extra calories, but you're not building your 6-pack. Instead, to get your 6-pack to really pop, you'd be much better off doing progressive overload training, just like you would for any other muscle. That means loading the ab muscles with weight. And to build your best 6-pack, you really only need 2 exercises.